Welcome to Lifeness with Logan Hall. It's life, it's business, it's Lifeness. Live from the StriveVenta.com studios, here's Logan Hall.
All right, you are listening to Lifeness. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's life, it's business, it's Lifeness. I am your host, Logan Hall. Again, thanks for listening. Exciting news. Again, you guys, we are now on iTunes. A lot easier to listen to. I think everybody and their grandmother's got an iTunes account. So tune into iTunes, check us out. Just put Lifeness, and you can listen to it, stream it from your phone, your tablet, your computer. However you can listen to it, share it with all your friends, because we got a lot of good stuff always going on this show. We always have good guests on the show. We got a couple of great guests on the show. Good friend of mine and his son, Mr. Brandon and Cameron Bunger. What's going on, guys?
Oh, thanks for having us on today. This is exciting.
Yeah, what's going on, Cam?
I don't know.
Just going to have some fun. That's all right. It's all good. So the reason we got Brandon and Cam on here is, you know, we like to bring good guests on the show, whether it's life, business, or lifeness, and Brandon exudes a lot of that. He's a fellow West Valley Maverick. You guys know I'm very passionate about being a West Valley Maverick, similar to Brandon. The breadth and the reach that we're making into our community is amazing to be part of something like that. I know we've got a big meeting tomorrow night to kind of talk about the results of our big golf tournament and the flavors of the West. So I've got to know Brandon through the West Valley Mavericks. He's a proud NAU alumni. Yeah, Go Lumberjacks. Yeah, baby. To all our Lumberjacks out there, shout out. You know, we don't get too many big shout outs. It's typically the Sun Devils or the Cats down south, but go Lumberjacks. So Brandon's a good guy. He's a West Valley Maverick. He also owns and runs one of the biggest steel companies in Arizona, if not probably one of the biggest, Bunger Steel. It's a great company. We're going to talk a little bit more about Bunger Steel here a little bit later on the show. But we're going to talk about, you know, this past weekend. And again, you know, we said a happy Memorial Day on the last show. We're going to reiterate it even though it's a day late. We always encourage and make sure we recognize our military men and women for the sacrifices that they make to protect our freedom so we can go out and have a fun 3-day weekend and go camp around a campfire and haul a trailer up a big hill.
Amen to that.
Speaking of hauling up a big trailer up a big hill, you guys, this is a terrific story of paying it forward, okay? And I want you guys to kind of pay attention to the details of this. And this just doesn't happen to anybody. This happens to someone who has paid it forward so many times in the past, it was finally their turn to get repaid on it. So, Brandon, Cam, tell us a little bit about your guys' Memorial Day weekend.
Saturday, we were driving up to Payson to go camping. And as we were going up this big hill, we were just driving up, just about there, 30 minutes away, and then all of a sudden everything just shuts down, and we're just coasting up this hill. And so my dad, he pulls over on the side of the road, and he checks what happened, and he blew his transmission.
Climbing the It's tight right there. They need a bigger shoulder, but it's so steep off that side there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So after about an hour of trying to troubleshoot the truck and realizing that we're not going to get anywhere, I knew I had to call a tow truck. So I was worried about the boys. So we took the car seat out of the car, hiked off into the woods a little bit to get them, you know, someplace safe. I literally had to strap the 3-year-old back into his car seat in the middle of the woods.
And said, Cameron, you watch your brother here. You guys don't move.
Yep.
Stay here. Dad's got to go get some phone signal.
Yep. So I had to hike up the road probably about a mile. We called a tow truck. Tow truck comes down and pulls the truck off. But I had to get the boys, you know, out of harm's way. I couldn't have them stand there. So I called my cousin. He was camping up the road 20 miles, and he came down, picked up the boys, picked up the dog, and they got out of there safely. And then I had to deal with trying to figure out how to get this ridiculous trailer off the side of the highway that's still hanging into the slow lane. So I remembered one of my buddies that I went to college with.
Went to NAU.
Eric Axland. He's a cop in Payson now. He used to be up in Flagstaff and then in Page, and I knew now that he's in Payson. So haven't talked to him in 20 years.
And he still got his number, though.
I still have his number in my phone. I call him up expecting him to answer the phone or, you know, not knowing who it was.
A wrong number. He's changed his number in 20 years.
And he answers the phone. He says, "What's up, Mama B?" That's what they used to call, my roommates used to call me in college, because I'm a little on the CDO side, not OCD. I say CDO because you have to put that in alphabetical order, right?
Got it.
So I'm on the OCD side. I'm constantly cleaning after these slobs.
So you were Mama B.
So they called me Mama B. So he answers the phone. He says, "What's up, Mama B?" I said, "E-Love is what we used to call it." I said, "E-Love, we're in trouble." I said, I need to get this trailer off the side of the road. You got a fifth wheel? He says, "I sure do. I'll be there in 10 minutes." So
10 minutes. You're halfway up the hill, up the Mogollon Rim, and call a guy you haven't talked to for 20 years. Answers the phone, "What's up, B Mama?
Yep.
What's up, E Love? I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Yep. He dropped everything. He shows up 10 minutes later, just like he said he would. He hooks up to the trailer, and I was like, hey, I appreciate this so much. What a blessing. I thought my Memorial Day weekend that I'm trying to show my boys a good time was completely destroyed, and you showed up and saved the day. I said, are you sure you don't mind dragging the trailer up to our camp spot so that we can enjoy the weekend? And he says, "No, you're taking my truck."
Right? So you're probably like, "Hey, thanks for getting it off the side of the road, first off. Can I ask you another favor? Can you haul it up to the campsite for us just so I can have it and we can still camp?" And he says, "No. You're going to haul it yourself with my truck. My wife's coming to pick me up, and you just drop my truck off whenever you can."
That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
I said, "Well, we'll be coming back through town on Monday. I'll figure out how to get your truck back to you." And he said, "Absolutely not." He said, "Your truck's going to be in the shop for however long getting the new transmission put in. You keep it a week, a month, a year. I don't care. What's mine is yours. Get it handled and call me whenever you're ready."
That's that thing called karma, you guys. And it's also more so called paying it forward, right? I mean, think about that, Brandon. When was the last time you needed somebody to do you a big solid like that? It's probably been a while. You probably haven't cashed in one of those favor cards for a long time. But how many favors have you paid in the 20 years since you spoke to this guy or given back to your community like you do? And all these things, and all of a sudden you're in need. And what I want to focus on is the safety part of this. Because, Memorial Day weekend, everybody's going up. I know exactly where you're talking about that you're off the side of the road. For the kids, for you, for the drivers coming up, and for all of it to work out safely. I think that's the bigger silver lining in this cloud, is it all works safely. But, hey, got to see an old college buddy, right? Now you owe him dinner. You got to go take his wife out to dinner and, hang out. And who knows when that comes around. And that's why you never burn a bridge. Right? There may have been a time where he was short on rent one month and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it, dude. I'll cover you. Get me whenever." You probably paid it forward on this guy however many knows how many times, and don't remember any of them because it's just what you do. But he probably remembers a time, Brandon, where you saved him. And so when he got this phone call, he felt compelled that he had to do whatever necessary to come save the day. Shout out to E-Love.
That's just the way he is. I mean, this guy, as long as I've known him, he'd give you the shirt off his back, no questions asked.
And that's, and he's a police officer in Payson, you said?
Yeah.
So shout out to Eric. What's the last name?
Axland.
Eric Axland, way to go, man. Not only are you out there helping protect our community as a police officer, you're lending old Bunger a hand when him and his family are stuck on the side of the road. That's awesome. That's called paying it forward, you guys, and giving back to your community. And what a good example for your son and both your sons, right? To know that, hey, you got to have some friends. Right? If you didn't have that guy's number in your phone book, where would you have been? What would have happened?
Yeah.
What a great example, you guys. Hey, stay tuned. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about life and lifeness with Brandon and his son Cameron. They got to go on a very special trip up to Canada to go do some fun winter sports. I'm talking staying in a castle, staying in some igloos, lots of other fun stuff. Stay tuned. We got this short break. Thanks for listening to Lifeness. Hug a penguin.
Yeah.
The picture, it's going to make me cry. The picture of this kid hugging this penguin, he's young, he's got all his adult teeth in, and they're not straight. He's got the biggest smile you could ever imagine, gums, everything, and he's hugging this penguin. And it was the sweetest picture in the story ever, you guys. So it warms my heart to announce that I am an official Wish Grantor. And any of my listeners out there, I've actually already had a couple of my friends and Tex, he wants to get involved. Anyone that wants to be involved in Make-A-Wish, give me a call, 602-908-2188. Check me out on Facebook, Logan Hall, Lifeness with Logan Hall. Send me an email, send me a Facebook message. I'll get you in touch with the right people to get the ball rolling. They're always in need of more wish grantors. You would think that there'd be a huge line of people wanting to do this. There's not.
Wow.
There's not. There's a deficiency for it.
Really?
And so any of our listeners out there that want to make a change, and this is a huge commitment, you guys, but look at the special effect. This is a memory that kid going to be their most special memory probably for their entire life. And you get to be a part of it.
Not to mention that it helps you with your kids as a role model. Make other kids' lives better and your kids to grow up and understand that there are other kids out there or parents that are misfortunate.
Absolutely. And even my own family, my wife, right? I told her I'm doing this Make-A-Wish, and she kind of knew a little bit about it. And so I go do this training, and I come home, and I'm telling her, the impact, what just happened. And her whole demeanor changed because she knew more about it. And it emotionally touched her to where she got the goosebumps.
Yep.
And then she says to me, she goes, honey, I am so proud of you.
Good for you.
For doing that.
Good for her.
And she goes, I want to do it with you. I want to become a wish grantor. And that's that family touch. And then how about all of our listeners and anyone else that I know that knows that I've done this? Maybe it's going to help them. Maybe they don't step up and do the wish grantor, but something to give back to your community. You can do it on such a smaller scale and still have an impact. Whether it's volunteering your time at PTA at your kid's school, or helping out coaching, or at dance class, or driving kids to and from the ballet, the dance recitals, or the choir concerts, or piano lessons, whatever it is, you guys give back to your community. That's what we're all about here, you guys, giving back to your community. We're going to take a short break right here. We're going to come back. Got another great story from my favorite website called the Good News Network, talking about how the state of Utah has reduced the homeless rate by 91% in 10 years, you guys. That's a really awesome story. We're going to talk about that coming back. Thanks for listening to Lifeness.
Austin Hill here. Did you see the big news about Apple? They're investing $2 billion in what they call a new global command center, and they're not expanding in their home turf of the Silicon Valley. No, Apple is expanding into Phoenix, Arizona. And if it's time for you to invest and expand, it's time to call the relocation and expansion professionals at Century 21 Northwest Realty, Northwest Phoenix, 800-678-0299. Phoenix is America's 6th largest city and one of the fastest growing metropolitan regions, with a low cost of doing business, an educated workforce, and proximity to San Diego, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. Now is the time to invest. Find out why companies big and small, like Bank of America, GoDaddy.com, and Intel all have operations in Phoenix. 800-678-0299. 800-678-0299. 800-678-0299, and visit C21Northwest.com. That's the letter C, the digits 21Northwest.com.
All right, we are back. We got a fun show. Again, got a really good friend of mine, Brandon Bunger, his son Cameron, here on the show. We were just kind of finishing up talking about paying it forward, and you never know when that favor is going to need to be repaid. And fortunately, Brandon paid lots and lots of favors forward and finally got to receive one this past weekend. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Brandon and Cameron is a father-son duo, and a really, really cool experience they got to share this summer. Brandon belongs to a really cool organization called the Young Presidents Organization, and as I understand, it's just a group of very successful young men who kind of get together for some camaraderie and try to bond and kind of synergize with each other, a little bit like that.
That's right, yeah.
And so through that, they've got a lot of these different retreats, whether it's, team building between the people of the organization, or this retreat where it was a father-son retreat, right? So tell us a little bit about where you went, what you did, and how much fun you guys had on this.
Yeah. Well, YPO is an organization, as you said, professional business people, and actually some Doug Ducey happens to be one of the members.
The governor, Doug Ducey,
yeah.
some high caliber individuals.
I'm the small fish in the big pond, actually.
Hey, at least you're in the pond.
But so I'm in a forum with 8 other guys. We get together once a month. We talk about business, we talk about family, we talk about self, and we challenge each other to do certain things. But what's really cool is I go on a retreat once a year with these guys. It's always someplace different, and we spend a week sort of gearing up for the next year and making big plans, and how to solve future problems, issues with our businesses, with our families, again, challenges with ourselves. But aside from that retreat, we also have access to many other retreats. Some of them are spouse retreats. Some of them are some self retreats. There's some really cool military.
You do, yeah. I know some of that cool stuff you've done too.
It's top secret.
Like I said before we started the show, you're like a part 2, part 3, part 4 type of guest. So we're gonna get to just this, but you did have a really cool experience with some military training that you got to kind of be involved in, and we'll maybe save that for another show because that's a really cool topic too.
Yeah. So one of the retreats that was made available to us was a father and son retreat, and so I kind of wasn't cheap, so I kind of went back and forth deliberating whether or not to do this, and Corey Beal, who's been on your show before,
Corey with Young Life, Southwest Valley Young Life director, really super awesome guy. Yep.
He was. I was kind of sharing this with him, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's an experience of a lifetime. Your son will be telling his grandchildren about this trip, years from now." And so I immediately was like, I went straight back to the
We
office
talked about it at lunch that day too. We had lunch.
Yep.
Also, was like, you're like, I don't know if I was like, dude, you got to do that.
Yeah, I went straight back to the office and I just bit the bullet, booked the trip, and it was. I think there was, Cameron, how many dads? 20 or 22 dads that are all YPO members, right? And then and their sons were all between the ages of 11 and 13. So it was
right there in that prime age, right, where you want to learn into how to be a man, how to go start a fire out in the woods, all that fun stuff. So you guys fly up to Canada.
Yeah, Cameron.
Where in Canada? You were in Quebec?
Yeah, so the first day we flew in and we walked outside and it was like, wow, it's cold, but it's like...
How cold?
It's not that bad. We walked out and didn't think it was that bad. So we hopped in the taxi, we went to our castle where we were staying.
Castle. Tell me about this castle. Literally a castle.
Chateau de Frontenac in Quebec. It's actually, it's hundreds of years old. It's one of the most beautiful properties you've ever seen.
Wow.
And it used to be a castle and now converted into a hotel. It was very, very cool.
So you guys stay there at the castle. Was that cool?
Yeah. Then we got to our rooms at about 1 in the morning. We went to bed, woke up the next morning. We went over to the breakfast place. We got breakfast, just enjoyed the morning. Then we went over to Starbucks. I got a hot chocolate. My dad got some coffee, and then we're like, "Hey, let's walk outside." So we walk outside, like immediately, like wind blows in your face. It's so cold.
Dries your eyes, like your whole face is frozen instantly.
You know the feeling in Arizona in the middle of the summer whenever you walk out of the mall, it's like 70 degrees in the mall, and you walk outside.
115.
It's 150, and it just takes your breath away. That times 10.
In the cold. So you walk outside. Oh, it's cold out here. You run back inside.
Yeah, I opened up the door. My dad's like, "Let's get a picture," and I'm like, "Better hurry."
Better hurry. So it's cold. So you're kind of in this castle, getting kind of accustomed to the cold, and then so you guys head out from the castle. Right now, you're going out into the snow, into the forest. What'd you guys do when you were out there?
Well, we went outside. Yeah, it was cold. And we went back inside, and the day after we got all our snow clothes on, we went up to this, what's it called? It's like
it's an ice park, snow park.
Yeah, snow park.
Okay.
Sort of.
Is that where you showed me the video where you were sledding at like 100 miles an hour? You look like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Right? Isn't that what it's called, Cameron?
No, that was a few days later. It was the first day we got there. It was that it's like a park, but it was... I don't know what to call it, but so anyway, we went there. My dad was really cold because he didn't think it'd be that cold, so we brought jeans and these like.
I was dressed
boots.
like we were in Payson.
Yeah, you need a little more than some jeans and a jacket, Brandon. So it's a little cold. You go to this park and you're sledding, you're tubing. What are you doing there?
We're with 2 dads, 2 sons. Those are the 2 kids I hung out with the most on that trip. So yeah, we went on some of the rides, and my dad got so cold, and we decided to head back.
Yep.
So head back. And
Fortunately, while we were there, I discovered this sort of festival drink that they have called Caribou. And if it hadn't been for that, I probably would have died.
It warmed you up a little bit? Kept you warm?
It kept me warm. It's the most terrible thing I've ever put in my body. It's horrible, but it kept me warm. Yeah.
Kept you warm. So, all right, I want to talk a little bit more about some of this other cool stuff. I want to talk about sledding with the dogs, right? You guys got to go on a dog sled?
Yeah, we went there. We got to meet all our dogs.
How many dogs are on a sled?
I think there was about like 8 or 10 on each one.
Mm-hmm. That's about right.
And our 2 leading dogs, their names were Hershey and Twix.
Cool names.
Yeah, and we got on. I was in the front part. My dad was on the back. The dogs would just keep running until my dad decided to slow it down on the back. Stepped on these like blades, I guess you could call them, that just dig into the snow and just slow everything down. They're like brakes. And every once in a while, like whenever we'd stop, every single dog would just jump in the snow next to him randomly.
Try to cool off, probably.
Yeah. And when they were running, sometimes they just go number 2 as they were running.
just all of a sudden they're pooping as they're running.
They don't stop for anything.
They don't stop, and none of it kicked up into your guys' face or anything, right? When you're, thank goodness.
I think a bar of Twix almost hit me.
Oh, a bar of Twix. Uh-oh.
We found out why they call them Twix.
Called them Twix. He dropped a couple left and right Twixes. All right, so you're doing the dog sledding. Get to know the dogs. Were the dogs friendly?
Yeah, they were really friendly. And there was this, when we were done, I got to hold this puppy. I don't remember what its name was, but I got to hold it. It was this, like, baby puppy.
Were the dogs like Siberian Huskies? What kind of dog?
Yeah.
Kind of mixed of different Akitas or stuff like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, so did some dog sledding. Now, you also did some snowshoeing?
Yeah, same day we did some snowshoeing, and then, like I said earlier, the day after the dog sledding, we went to they call it a snow park, or an ice park. And these crazy Canadians, I don't know how, like, there wasn't a gazillion people getting hauled off in the ambulance.
Safety hazards and stuff like that.
There was, like, no safety. Like, you'll go to, like, Wet n Wild or something here in Arizona. There are, like, always rails and everything, making sure that you're safe there. Here, there's nothing.
Nothing?
It's just like a free-for-all up there.
You sign a waiver when you show up that says no risk. We are not assuming any liability.
Yeah.
You like slide like you'd go up to the top. It's like 60 feet up in the air. It's just like really steep down. You just go on these inner tubes and then you just slide down them. And
so you take a ski lift up to the top, just like you would in a ski resort here.
Get some serious elevation.
Except you ride an inner tube.
While holding an
going
inner
back
tube.
down, and so it turns out rubber on ice goes extraordinarily fast.
It reminds me of National Lampoon's Vacation, where Clark Griswold gets a little saucer and I think he sprays it with some WD-40 or some Pam or something, and he's lightning like 100 miles an hour down. That's how fast you guys were going.
Oh yeah, it was. I can't even begin to tell you how surprised I am that
you didn't break something.
Hauled off in an ambulance one after the other, but.
How do you stop? Do you just like it flattens out and drag your feet a little bit to where it slows you down eventually? Or is there a big bank that you hit this big soft bank and that's your stop?
Yeah,
I mean, I can imagine they stop.
Toward the end, and then they have these snow banks that bring you to a complete stop. But yeah, it was an interesting experience and something that I don't think you'd ever see in the United States. But we had a blast.
Had a blast. Well, we've got a couple more things we're going to talk about here on their trip up to Quebec. We got some snowmobiling, some other cool things. And we're just talk a little bit more about Brandon and Cam, the father-son duo, what Cam's got going on this summer. And keep it up. Thanks for listening to Lifeness. We'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm here with a good friend of mine, John St. George, owner of Phoenix Carpet Water Restoration, home of the Spot Crew. John, tell us a little bit about your company.
Thanks, Logan. We are a locally owned carpet, tile, upholstery, and oriental rug cleaning company here in the Valley. We're happy to celebrate our 5-year anniversary, and we're giving 25% off to all new customers to call in at 602-319-8446.
So that phone number again, 602-319-8446, 602-319-8446. Call my buddy John for a free estimate today. Tell him Logan sent you. All right, we are back. Thanks again for staying for that short break. Got Brandon and Cam Bunger on the show. We're going to kind of finish it up with a couple more cool things about their trip. And again, the whole point of this, you guys, is the bonding between father and son, or father and daughter, or mother and son, or mother and daughter. You know, I've got a little baby. I got a 15-month-old daughter, and the bond that I'm creating with her is just unbelievable. And when you get to go do some special things like a trip like this, you guys, this is a lifetime, once in a lifetime trip. To be able to share that memory together and come away from there stronger and closer as a father and son, I think that's very important for our listeners to learn about and instill in their own lives. Maybe it's been a while since you've taken your kids camping or gone to the lake or gone to the zoo or something. Get out there and have some fun with your kids, some camaraderie, that family bond, and share some good time. So we're talking kind of during the break. We want to focus on your accommodations the next couple of nights. So first few nights, you're in this castle, warm, cozy, running water, hot shower, comfortable beds. And then you go out and you stay in some igloos. Tell me about sleeping in an igloo.
Well, it wasn't necessarily an igloo, but it was this huge, ice hotel. There was like a huge, corridor or hallway, whatever you want to call it. And there would be rooms off to the side. They weren't that big. There was this probably about a king-size bed, sort of, except it's the size of one, but it's not. It's this huge block of ice.
Mm-hmm. So it's a block of ice that you're sleeping on.
With a blanket over it, and then you put your sleeping bag on top.
So not very good for the back.
No, and 20 degrees below zero was the temperature of the room that we slept in.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I literally put a water bottle next to the bed whenever we went to sleep. I woke up less than an hour later to go grab a sip, and it was frozen solid.
Frozen solid. So it's cold in there. So you guys are all buttoned up in your sleeping bags. Can't really have a fire or anything going in there, can you? It'd kind of melt the place away.
Well, there was a candle in there. That was the only light source we had, was just this candle.
And there's not much heat coming off of that thing either.
Nope, not enough to warm up.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question. So what happens if you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? Because I've been camping out in a tent, and you got to get out of that warm sleeping bag, and you got to go outside. It's all cold. What happens when you got to go to the bathroom and you're sleeping in an ice hotel?
Well, that actually happened to my dad and I. So, my dad woke up in the middle of the night. He's like, "Hey, do you need to go to the bathroom?" I did, but I didn't feel like getting up, so I was like, "No." So he went. So you walk down in this corridor, you walk to the end of it, there's this porta potty there. You just go there, it smells horrible like any other porta potty.
So it wasn't some fancy porta, it was literally just a J. John next to the ice hotel.
Well, and we have all the snow gear and stuff. It takes forever to get it all off. So I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. So I jump out of my sleeping bag.
You didn't get all suited up?
Nope. I had literally long underwear on, threw my snow boots on, ran to the porta-john as fast as I could, did my thing, raced back, jumped in my sleeping bag before I froze to death, and I just barely start getting comfy again, and then Cameron leans over and taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Dad, I need to go potty." Uh-oh. I was like, "You're on your own, my man.
You're a big boy tonight there, Cam." So you did the same thing, huh? You ran down the hallway to the J. John, did your business, and came back, jumped back in the sleeping bag?
Yeah. And also, just go back a little bit. When we went to the ice hotel, we walked into this area, and it was this, huge, party area, I guess. And there was, a disco ball, with lights going everywhere. And there was a bar where they'd give you drinks or sodas or whatever.
It's a nightclub made out of ice. It's on the Discovery Channel, on the Travel Channel. It's outrageous.
And they'd give you these. It's like a big block of ice with a hole in it. That was your cup, and they'd fill it up with your
soda or water or beverage, whatever.
Yeah.
And it'd probably freeze it pretty quick. You had to drink it pretty quick or it might freeze it?
Well, what I was drinking
would warm it up. Was
never
melting
freezes.
It. Never froze. so it was melting it a little bit, but that's pretty cool. So your cup is of ice block.
Yeah, and my soda fell over, and then I picked it back up. 20 seconds later, it's frozen on this ice desk.
Yeah.
And there was this ice slide. There were ice sculptures everywhere. There was an ice step way up to the top. There was an ice slide. You'd get on it. You'd slide down to the bottom. Yeah, and I did that 40 times, I bet.
Just up and down the ice slide?
Yeah.
That's cool.
We just had an unbelievable time. From the time we took off to the time we got back home, it was all about just Cameron and I being together, just the two of us, once in a lifetime trip, and I'm so glad that we went because I bet 3 or 4 times a day for weeks after we got back, Cameron would just come up to me from out of nowhere and wrap his arms around me and be like, "Dad, thank you so much for taking me on this trip."
That's so cool, Cam. And I remember us talking about it, and then when you got back, how excited you were. Like, this was so fun. You're showing me the video or something of you tubing at 100 miles an hour and telling me about having to run to the bathroom when it was really cold. And what a fun time, you guys, right? How long were you guys gone?
A week, Cameron?
Sounds about right.
Yep.
A week long. That's a good time to spend together. So, Cam? What was your most favorite part about that trip?
I'd have to say that dog sledding was my favorite.
And why? Because the dogs were there and the dogs were friendly, or just because you've maybe seen it on TV? Like, how do these guys do these dog sleds? And what was the coolest part about that?
The coolest part about it was just sitting in there, just for like an hour and a half. You just sit there as the dogs are running, and also when we were dog sledding, I forgot to mention, we were sledding and one person forgot to stop, so the person in the front stopped. The person behind him didn't stop. The dogs ran into the people in front. There was this collision.
Oh, no.
All the dogs,
there were dogs
they're
everywhere,
getting
sleds
tangled
everywhere.
up. They're getting tangled up. They're falling over. And we're just sitting in the back just watching this going on. We're just laughing.
Your dogs didn't get tangled up. That's crazy. So, doing the dog sledding, staying in the igloo, snowmobiling. You guys had some fun snowmobiling?
Yeah, that was fun, except that day it was, I think, 15 degrees below zero, and the wind was blowing like
So it was
60
cold.
miles an hour.
Yeah,
so.
that's tough. So that might not have been the best time. Now, let me ask you this. How was it when you got off the plane back here in Phoenix, Arizona, compared to that weather? Were you glad to be back?
I was excited to be back. It was a long trip. I was happy to be back, and I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't longer.
Yeah, but maybe you get to go do something like that again. That's pretty cool. What a bonding experience, Brandon. And I know you care about your sons. You were so excited about this trip, and then to come back, and then to have Cameron come up afterwards and keep saying, "Hey, Dad, thanks, man. Remember when we did this or we did that?" That's something that forever you guys will have that to share, and that's really, really cool. I want to talk a little bit more about Cameron. So, Cameron, you got a busy summer this summer. You got a couple basketball camps you're going to. The Dan Marley basketball camp.
Yeah, I don't know if Dan Marley will actually be there or something, but just these basketball camps. I'm doing it 1 week with my friend Jake Schleifer, and then a few weeks later I'm doing it with another friend, and I don't know what really to expect. It's probably 7 hours long. I think it's about 7 hours long. I think it's from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
That'll be fun. So basketball is your favorite sport?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're also going to be starting to work with your dad this summer. Is that what I heard?
Apparently.
Yep.
Apparently. Uh-oh, he doesn't sound too enthused.
Yep, we're gonna break him in. I probably waited a little too long to do this, but he's gonna sweat his
get in the shop
this
and
summer, yep.
that we've all done that. There becomes a point in time where you're growing from a boy into a kid into a man. And I think one of those rites of passage is going to work with your dad or getting into doing some manual labor. I had my own lawn service in 3rd grade, and sweating it out in the middle of the summer and doing certain odd-end jobs. And so you're going to get to kind of carry on the Bunger steel name, right? That's the same thing that your dad did for you, right, Brandon, when you were growing up?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, since I was, old enough to walk probably. Every Saturday we were out there. If I had a day off of school, I was out there, and he had me doing every job that there was to do. And I didn't know it at the time, but apparently I was being groomed to take over the business. And I had other plans for a while, and I got sucked back into it.
I think we talked about how you kind of got pulled back into it. And, everything happens for a reason. There was a reason that Dad had you work in those summers to learn it, to where the opportunity presented itself. You could come right in because you had that experience and that knowledge about the business and the backside of it. And same thing that Cameron's going to be gaining, right? Because there's going to be a time where Dad's going to say, "Hey, I want to golf and just hang out all the time. Cam, you got to run the business." So make sure you're paying attention, learning from your dad. My father's in real estate. He's been in real estate his whole life. I've learned and watched him help people buy and sell houses forever. That's how I kind of learned how to do it. So I think that's really, really cool. And I want to talk a little bit more about Bunger Steel. Bunger Steel is a great company here, family owned and operated for how long now?
Coming up on 43 years.
43 years, Bunger Steel. A lot of the big buildings and things you see around here are Bunger Steel, but a lot of the stuff they give back, I know they donate a lot of their services and materials to some of the 4-H projects or like Habitat for Humanity. You guys
That's right.
literally donated materials to build a house for some less fortunate people, right?
Yep, build houses. We there are different camps for children and things, and it's all nonprofit. So anything that they can get for free building material wise is very important. So,
and some of your employees donating their time to help build some stuff, ship some stuff out there.
Yeah.
And that's giving back to your community, and that's one of the 4 C's of the Mavericks. You got community, commerce, culture, and charity. And Bunger Steel and Brandon Bunger in particular is very, very focused on that. Now, I also wanted you to share about a foundation that's very near and dear to your heart. One of your friends lost their son to cancer. Is that true?
That's right. My best friend growing up since 3rd grade, Woody Thompson, they lost their son several years back to cancer, and so they've started a nonprofit organization called the Ronan Thompson Foundation. They also have a blog, rockstarronan.com.
Rockstarronan.com.
Yep.
Okay.
So they I think it's a very creative way of spending money. That's the money that they raise for that organization. Woody and his wife Maya are just very, very sharp people, and they've done the math and the research to know kind of where that money is best spent, and I really appreciate what they're doing.
Well, so check out their website, right? rockstarronan.com.
That's right.
See how you can get involved, make any donations. You guys, it's all about giving back to your community, paying it forward. Don't always have to necessarily do it with money either. Your time, whether you go volunteer to be a big brother or a big sister, or you're coaching Little League, or you're the instructor for your daughter's dance recitals, or just giving your time to go pick up some trash on the side of the road. Volunteer your time, you guys. There's so many less fortunate people out there that our time, effort, and resources does go to make a change. You guys heard me share on the last show, I'm now an official Wish grantor with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's a really exciting way to give back. But there's so many different levels to give back on: volunteer, donating your time, donating your resources. So, check that out. And again, Brandon Bunger, Bunger Steel, Cameron, what a great show. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I wanted to also mention a really good feel-good story that I saw in Sports Center last week. Quite a few of you may have seen this. I watch only a little bit of TV. When I watch TV, it's either Sports Center, the Diamondbacks, or Family Feud. I love that Steve Harvey. I don't know what it is about Family Feud, but I'm watching Sports Center, and there's a special on there, and it's about this 7-year-old kid named Isaiah Bird. Isaiah's from Long Beach, New York, and Isaiah was born with no legs. So right out of the chute, he's never known any different, right? He doesn't know what it would be like to have legs and not have them anymore. And kind of the underlying message and theme of this story about Isaiah Bird was, he said it literally, no excuses. To have no legs was not an excuse for him. That's not an option as an excuse in life. And the kid was a championship wrestler. I think he was 18-1 when he got to the state tournament. He ended up losing and not placing, but, showed very, very well. And what a courageous story. You guys remember the wrestler from ASU that won the national championships? I think he only had one leg, right? And winning wrestling national championships. You got this kid with no legs with an 18-1 record. And what I liked the most about this kid, you guys, was he didn't know any different. Literally no excuses. He just went through life as what it was, and there was a real special guy in his life. Miguel Rodriguez was kind of his coach/guardian who really took it upon himself to take Isaiah under his wing and make sure that he didn't feel different than everybody else, and that he didn't need to use his legs and his excuse to not be able to be as good as he wanted to at things. So I wanted to share that, you guys. You can go find that on YouTube. I was checking it out a couple days ago. It was really, really special story. So, hey, anything else you guys want to share to our listeners? Anything you want to tell your dad, or you want to tell your son about the trip and having fun together?
I'm just so proud of this kid. He's, I have several different businesses. Bunger Steel. I have a construction company, but at the end of the day, the most important job that I have is being these guys' dad, and I'm so proud of both of them, especially Cameron. He's grown up to be such a fine young man, and he's had some obstacles in his way with broken family or divorced family, and he's just powered through it and has just come out to be such a fine young man. I'm so proud of him, and I love these guys so much.
That's awesome. Anything you want to say to your dad? You can say it. You can say it. It's okay.
Love you, Dad.
There we go.
Yeah, we had to drag it out of him.
Hey, but you know what? This is his first time on the radio. I think he's done really, really well. A little bit shy, and I want to tell you something, Cam. You got a very special dad. He does care about you and your brother a whole lot. And through all the challenges through life that we all go through, Brandon's exactly right. The number one job is being a dad. And that has to take priority, because if you're not there and you're not a dad or a mom, who's going to be there? Who are they going to learn from? And, you got a great example of a great young man, giving back to your community, start volunteering with your dad. And, we wish you luck with everything you do, Cam. This won't be the last time we have you and your dad on the show. You have a fun summer, and you said you're going to Washington, you're going to California to some parks, you got basketball camps. Man, I wish I had a summer plan like this kid, right? Can we come on some of these fun things with you, Cam? Can we come along?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
We'll be there. So,
hey, I just want to say thanks for having us on the show, too. It was very, very cool. Always love hanging out with you. And it was fun to come on the radio for the first time, right? My mom always said that I had a face for radio.
That's what they tell me, Brandon. I've been told that now for over a year, and I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to take that, but we do, and it's been my pleasure, man. We've been wanting to have you on for a while. We want to make sure Cam was out of school to where it didn't interfere with that. But listen, it's our pleasure, Brandon. Thank you for everything you do as a father, as a friend, as a maverick, as a business owner, giving back to our community, paying it forward. Thanks to your buddy Eric, right? E-Love, way to step up and pay it forward. And let's finish the show with that, you guys. There's a way to pay it forward, and it's just living a good life all the time and lending a hand when someone needs a hand, whether it's opening the door for someone who's older, or they got their arms full, or you see someone in the grocery store that's in their little electric cart and can't reach up to the top shelf to grab the yogurt that they want. I mean, you guys, it's as easy as that. Or how about when you see a military men or women in uniform, not even in uniform, but they've got a hat that says Vietnam veteran. How about you go out of your way and shake their hand and say, thank you for your service to our country. It means a lot to us. You guys, there's so many little things you can do to pay it forward, and you never know what type of an impact that's going to have on someone's life, you guys. So, hey, thanks for coming on, Brandon and Cameron. You guys are awesome. Bunger Steel, West Valley Mavericks, everything good in our community, giving it back. And you guys, we just want to end the show with this. I always end the show with this. First off, thank you again to all our military men and women. Happy Memorial Day. That was a couple days ago. Hope everyone had a good, fun, safe weekend. It's very important to remember those men and women in military, not only the ones currently, but the ones that we've lost, and especially ones we've lost in battle. There's a saying that says, all gave some gave all, and that's the truth, So let's keep that in perspective. And also, as we end the show with you guys, live the life you love the life you live. Go out there, make it a great day, and make someone else's day great as well. God bless. Thanks for listening to Lifeness.
Amen.
Amen.